Like, I remember talking to like just different girls about like, you know, dating outside of your race. Like, I don't want to talk to a guy that's outside of my race because he's not going to understand me. He's not going to understand where I come from. It's just going to be completely different. Like, it's like, that's the point though. Like, that's quite literally the point. If you want to really talk about it, when it comes to, oh, he not gonna understand me, y'all really talking about he's not gonna understand your struggles and he's not gonna understand your trauma. A lot of the relationships that are curated right now are based off of trauma bond. Your partner doesn't have to understand where you came from for there to be a strong connection. I really feel like dating outside of your race may really be the key to unlocking what you want and need when it comes to an intimate relationship with someone. Even friendships, but we're talking about relationships. And I'm not just saying all of these things because of my personal interracial relationship that I have, but I'm saying this because of my observations outside of myself as well. I feel like as women in any race, I'm speaking for all women, but especially for my melanated women, I feel like if you're only dating men that are in your race, then you kind of get accustomed to their ways of being, and it's easy to normalize the red flags in it, especially when everybody is doing it and everybody's accepting it. Like, I feel like a lot of behavior that's unacceptable in relationships gets normalized because you see it with every man that you're dating, and every man that you're dating is the same demographic of a man, so you kind of condition yourself to thinking that it's okay and that, you know, you're just gonna have to accept them as they are. And then I feel like you kind of get thrown off mentally, and you put every man in that category and you think all men are the same. And that's simply not true. I feel like so many people find more success when they have an open mind in general. And a lot of us don't have an open mind when it comes to dating outside of our race. I feel like dating someone outside of your race, it naturally opens your mind up to a different view of the world itself and what all there is to offer. Because if you're consistently dating people that are only in your race, like I said, you're going to only know what you grew up with and what they know. Like, and it's probably like the same thing. Like, you guys were probably raised off of the same values or had the same cultural experiences or whatever. It's really the same. There's no learning there. It's just like getting accustomed to each other. But when you date someone that's completely different from you, you have the opportunity to see what else is out there that might actually align with you, from like even cultural experiences to the way that their family dynamics are. They most likely live a completely different life than you in all aspects of life, and it may better resonate with your being. Because I know for me, the values that I seen growing up, or the things that I see in the melanated community when it comes to families, when it comes to love, it just seems very toxic and loveless, and there's no structure when it comes to family for real. There's so many broken families, and like it's just a whole bunch of and I just never resonated with the way that, you know, I'm not gonna talk about me, but I'm just saying, like, once I started to branch out and inform myself on the ways that other people are living over across the seas, over in the world, it just really opened my mind, and it did a lot of good for me. I feel like dating outside of your race is not just about dating another person that's outside of your race. I feel like it's about growing yourself, because on top of you experiencing this new person, learning about them, their culture, their history, the way, you know, all of these things, you're gonna be faced to challenge yourself and your own bias and opinions on what you might have had about like them and their people. Like, we don't know that we naturally and unconsciously have like biased beliefs about certain groups and race groups, but once you like dive deep and actually get to know the people, you might like resonate way more with them than you. As I was saying before my camera died, You can have biased opinions unconsciously about a certain type of race group and you may not even realize it, but after you learn about them, their culture and their ways of being, you may realize that these people that are so different from you actually share values and things that you were never introduced to from your people that actually resonate with you and your being more. So you may find that you may not want to raise yourself up and raise your kids and your family based off of what you came up with, but you might learn about a new way of living and want to continue living your life a certain way, or continue to raise your children and your family up a different way. And you'll never be challenged to have these different perspective shifts if you continue to only date in your comfort zone, which is the people that are in your race group. Disclaimer, I am not dragging any melanated men. I know that everyone is not the same, but I'm still going to say what I have to say. This is no shade or anything, but I feel like a lot of our women, our melanated women, are settling for only talking to melanated men. And when I say settling, I say they grow accustomed, like we grow accustomed to how it seems that our men are by the normalized toxic love and behavior that's shown in mass media. And they make it normalized, and a lot of women feel like that's okay, and so they settle and they romanticize the struggle love and just all of these red flags, honestly, when it comes to making someone your partner, and they get lost in it and don't really even think about opening up to something different. Like I remember talking to like just different girls about like, you know, dating outside of your race. Like this is a topic that like is talked about a lot, and I just hear like the biased statements when it comes to talking to another race. They're like, oh, I don't want to talk to a guy that's outside of my race because he's not going to understand me. He's not going to understand where I come from. It's just going to be completely different. Like, it's like, that's the point though. Like, that's quite literally the point. You don't have to, okay. Real love, understanding, and union does not just come from being relatable to somebody with your background and how you grew up. A lot of the relationships that are curated right now are based off of trauma bonds, because he understands you and he understands the darkness and he understands why you like this, and he understands the toxic family that you grew up in because he had one too. Why don't we escape these trauma bonds if there is one with, you know what I'm saying? Why don't we escape these trauma bonds? You know, he doesn't have to, your partner doesn't have to understand where you came from for there to be a strong connection. You know what I mean? Like, it's so sad because they'll be like, oh, he's not going to understand me, or, oh, like, you know, it's just so different. Like, I think that's the point. Like, we need to step out of our comfort zones when it comes to dating people, because also, like, the physical of our beings does not matter as much as the soul. And that's a whole nother, like, thing to dive into. We're not supposed to just be looking at the physical of someone when you are actually considering someone to be your life partner and someone that's going to be maybe a parent to your future children. I don't think race or the way someone looks is what matters. I think what matters, I know what matters, is the value of a person, the character of the person. Is this person able to love? Does this person love themselves? Are they gonna, because if they can't love themselves, they're not gonna love you. You know, like, think about the real values of that person's soul. Like, think about the character of their soul. And when you think about that, you won't even see race. You won't even see, like, the physicalities of a person. And so that's why I say, like, date outside of your race, because not just because of the faults that you've had with the people in your race, but date outside of your race, or maybe think about doing it because, first of all, like I said, the race card and like the physicalities don't matter. And you may be limiting yourself to really connecting with a soul that's just like you in a different way. You know, like, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm not saying this in the depths as I'm wanting to, but I think you get the point. Like, stepping out of your comfort zone, especially when it comes to dating someone, it could be the most beautiful experience for you. You may be able to be seen in a way that you've never been seen before by anybody else. You may be able to receive the love that you never even grew up with, because it's different. Like, it just could be so different, you know? I had to put on my glasses because that light was blinding me. Even with all this being said, it takes for someone to have an open mind to being in an interracial relationship. Because you have to understand that this person is not going to be just like you. Even somebody from the same race as you is not going to be just like you, but it's like that times 10. And depending on your perspective, you'll either see it as a really beautiful and interesting thing, or you'll see it as something that's complicated and too much and requires too much effort. But like I said, it's all about perspective, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I'm really happy that I decided to step out of my comfort zone and date outside of my race, because actually it's the best decision I ever made for myself when it came to love, outside of me choosing to love myself first. But yeah, I had to make this video and try to give my perspective, because I also was one of the women who were only wanting to date in her race. And so hopefully, you know, you guys got something out of this video. Yeah. I'll see y'all later. Bye.